Right. So Murtala Inusah is here in the studio with the details from what's been happening.
Yes.
Yesterday, he told us about how prepared the Judicial Staff
The,
Association was, or should I say, the
the
Judicial
judicial
Service
service,
was,
yes,
to receive the petition from the protesters,
yes, the
right?
family values
The Family
match.
Values March.
Yes, yesterday the match was very massive. So that is the premises of the Supreme Court, and the delegation from the Chief Justice, led by, you see, the registrar of the Supreme Court was there, the PRO, the director of communication was there, the deputy was, so you could see them. All of them have lined up, and then the Judicial Secretary, Justice Pamela Corantin, was also there. So this is the pictures that we've seen are the premises of the court. So this was the time after they have received the petition from the protesters. In fact, Sam George presented the particular petition to the judiciary. And so it was received yesterday. Like I said, if you come to the premises of the Supreme Court, even all the entrances of the Apex Court were blocked. And so those are some of the scenes. So this is the law court complex, that particular section also. We had a lot of police sections all over just to make sure that the protesters, when they arrive, everything will be very, very safe. And so that was what happened in relation to that. The judiciary, or the judicial service, led by the judicial secretary yesterday, they acknowledged that and assured that they are going to work everything. In fact, if you see the list, the chronology of events up to where we are when the cases are filed, tomorrow will bring you that. When the cases were filed, all the applications that took place, all the dates in which each of the applications were filed, each of the cases were filed, when the parties filed their submission, other applications, and all of that. Then you have an informed view of what is happening in relation to these pending cases at the Supreme Court. And then you understand whether it is the judicial service that is delaying the cases, the Supreme Court that is delaying the cases, or the parties involved. But what we are being told now, what is clear is that the parties, even the joint memorandum of issues that they are supposed to file for the Supreme Court to deal with the issues, they have not filed. Next week, the court will be dealing with an application from the Speaker of Parliament for extension of time to file its defense in relation to the applications or the cases before the Supreme Court. So next week we'll know more, but tomorrow we'll bring you that chronology of events from day one. Richard Sky, when he filed, all the processes that he has filed to date, Dr. Amanda Odoy, all the processes that she has filed to date, and what when the court dealt with those issues and where we are at this particular point in time. So tomorrow we should expect that.
So the petitions were received?
Yes.
I think there was one to the Attorney General as well.
Yes, they presented one to the Attorney General, and then after, the Chief Justice was the last, or the Judicial Service was the last that they did, and it was received by the Registrar of the Supreme Court.
How receptive were they? How receptive were they of the protesters when they came to present the petition?
Of course, they were ready for that particular petition to receive. You notice that the day before, the management of the Judicial Service issued a statement to the staff and said, look, there's going to be a lot of security personnel deployed to the premises of the court. So everybody should be calm. We want the cooperation of everybody. And you could see from the atmosphere, everybody was ready. In fact, some few minutes before the protesters arrived, you could see police officers line up, delegation from the Chief Justice's office line up, the Judicial Secretary came in closer to the entrance. And when they arrived, it was very easy for them to receive. So it was very, very, very cordial when they received. Sam George made a statement, read what was in the petition to them, gave an ultimatum as when they want to hear a positive or a response, or an action from the judiciary. And the recipient also acknowledged that before it was handed over to the Judicial Secretary, and then the CJ then will have it. So it was very cool. There was nothing that shows that they were not in support. They were not ready to receive the protesters. It was very, very nice. But it happened just at the main entrance. For those who are familiar with the Supreme Court, you see that the main gate, immediately they opened the gate, the rep or the delegation from the Chief Justice just stood in there. And the Honorable Sam George presented the petition to her, and then they took it away. So that's what happened in relation to this very case.
Okay.
All right. Yesterday in court as well,
Yes.
52 out of the 53 protesters
Good news. And
were granted
the
bail.
lawyers were very satisfied. So 52 of them have been granted bail. Monday, 21 of them had bail granted by the High Court. And in fact, some of them had the application for bail at the High Court before going to the Circuit Court. And at the High Court, prosecution indicated that they have opposed to those applications. There were 2, and the 2 were dealing with the remaining 31. They said that they were opposing to that. The court said it hasn't received a copy, and the defendant or the applicant, I must say, the accused persons, they have also not received copies of the position from the Attorney General's office. So the case was then adjourned to today before they appeared at the Circuit Court. And the Circuit Court, the lawyers made oral agreement in respect of those who were not granted bail yet. So the 31 yesterday, His Honor Mr. Kwabena Obri-Yeboah listened to them and they said, look, prosecution made the point that once they have filed formal bail applications at the High Court, the court should rather allow the High Court to deal with the issue. But the court said, look, we are looking at accused persons who the Constitution says that are innocent until proven guilty. And the court will have to protect the fundamental human rights of the accused person. On that basis, the court is saying that each of the accused persons who have been granted bail before are admitted bail. But the difference is that those granted bail at the High Court, if you take the Armor Governor's set, 9 of them, they were granted bail in the sum of 70,000 Ghana cedi with 2 sureties who are supposed to deposit their Ghana card and digital addresses to the registrar of the court and report to the police once a week. Then you look at the Oliver Barker's set, at which he was refused bail. But all those in that particular set, the court granted them bail in the sum of 20,000 cedis with 2 sureties. The court said the prosecution or the investigators should investigate their digital addresses to be able to verify those digital addresses. And then it ended there. And so yesterday, those are the circuit courts. Their bail sum was 20,000 Ghana cedis, but 1 surety. So you could see that the sureties change it, defining. So yesterday, all of them together. And then the prosecution made the point that they have filed the first batch of disclosures. Those are the document processes, documented in relation to this case, evidential material that they use to prosecute them. However, they will need time to file more. And the court is saying that an order has been given for you to file disclosures. You haven't done that fully. Accused person cannot be in detention once you've not complied fully with the orders of the court. On that basis, all of them were granted bail. So if you ask me all about the protesters, after 2 weeks in detention, some of them were in prison custody, others were in police custody. All of them have been granted bail, except Oliver Barker, whom the court said, look, this is somebody who is already facing a criminal case at the criminal court 3, treason felony, 2 counts. He's pleaded not guilty, but he has been granted bail. And one of the conditions of that bail is for him to put up a good behavior, And now the same person has been brought back to the court of having involved himself in another offense. Now the court is wondering not about whether he will avail himself to stand trial, because that one, the court is convinced that he's somebody that would avail himself to stand. But the question now is, would he not commit another offense when granted bail? Then we need to ask ourselves a question here. Now the Constitution is saying that until proven guilty, you are innocent. And if you look at the section 96, 5C, it talks about the fact that it talks about bail, issue of how the court can grant you bail or not. And the court is saying that particular is saying that the court should be convinced that you are not going to commit another crime. So does that mean that you have already been found guilty of committing a crime? So those are questions that we'll be asking ourselves and all that. So on the basis of that particular issue, the court said granting Oliver bail for now. That's what the High Court said, and said that within 72 hours, the Circuit Court should start the trial of Oliver. Yesterday, because prosecution could not file their disclosures fully, it is putting that 72 hours in doubt. So the lawyers made a bail application, making that point to the court. The court said, we have not yet clocked the 72 hours. So let's not go there for now, but come formally for the prosecution to respond to that. And they agreed to do that. So Monday, 14th of October, they'll be back in court. But meanwhile, Armor Governor's set will rather come on Friday, on 11th of October.
But we understand that even though they've been granted bail, they are still in custody.
Yes.
Because there are certain processes that need to be completed that have not been completed. I've heard some of them complain that there are deliberate frustrations of the bail process for them to be released. So even though they're on bail, they are still in custody. What's happening there?
So one of the things that I do know about bail is that once you are granted bail now, it doesn't mean that you are leaving the court to go. Those conditions that the court spelled out, you need to satisfy those conditions.
Yeah.
So if the court is saying produce 2 sureties, their Ghana card and their digital addressing system should be verified. All those things need to be satisfied by the investigators before you are allowed to go and come and sign and you leave. If the court is saying that if prosecution is not, the investigators are not convinced with the sureties that you produce, the chances are that you still be with the police. So yesterday, even in the premises of the court, I saw some of the sureties who have come in relation to some of the accused persons who were already on bail. And I'm sure that those who satisfy the bail condition, I've seen accused persons who have been granted bail, and still they are in lawful custody because they could not meet those bail conditions. So until you meet the terms given by the court, you'll still be with the police.
Well, we'll see how all of that plays out. And thank you very much, Murtala Inusah, for bringing us court today. I think Alhaji Collins Dauda is expected later on in court today, right?
Sagleme Affordable Housing case. Yes, that case
we'll look
is
forward
up.
to it.
Yesterday it started, and today it will continue.
All right. Thank you very much. Murtala Inusah there, always bringing us the details from the courts.